What if I told you that the richest oil nation in Africa did not fall to poverty? It was dismantled in a single afternoon. On October 20th, 2011, a convoy fled the ruins of Sirte. NATO jets found it. A drainage pipe became a grave, and the man the world called a madman left behind a country that once held one of the highest standards of living on the African continent. Welcome to African Storyverse, and the story of how Gaddafi's death destroyed Libya forever. Before we begin, subscribe to African Storyverse and click the notification bell, because every week we uncover the forgotten giants who shaped Africa and the truths history tried to bury. To most people, Muammar Gaddafi was only a dictator in sunglasses. To Libya, he was 42 years of a nation built on oil, pride, and absolute control. But here's the surprising truth. The story does not end when he dies. It begins. Imagine a desert kingdom sitting on a sea of black gold. Libya held, and still holds, some of the largest proven oil reserves in Africa. Under Gaddafi, oil paid for a social contract few African nations ever matched. No student paid tuition. No patient paid a hospital bill. Electricity reached homes that colonial maps once ignored. Families could receive support to buy a house. Literacy climbed. Per capita income rose among the highest on the continent. Oil paid for the dream. Gaddafi decided who shared it. In 1969, a young officer overthrew a king. He was 27 years old. He renamed the country. He wrote a green book. He called it a state of the masses, a Jamahiriya, while power never left his hands. He funded revolutions abroad. He clashed with the West. He survived bombs over Tripoli in 1986. He ruled through fear, loyalty, spectacle, and the promise that African oil would lift African people. Most rulers searched for larger armies. Gaddafi searched for something harder to kill, a system that made ordinary Libyans dependent on the state and on him. Critics called it tyranny wrapped in free medicine. Supporters called it dignity the colonial world never offered Africa. Both descriptions can be true at once. That is why this story refuses to be simple. Then came 2011. Across North Africa, young people filled the streets. Tunisia fell. Egypt shook. In February, protests reached Benghazi. What began as anger became civil war. Cities split. Tribes chose sides. Blood answered blood. The world did not stay spectators. In March 2011, the United Nations authorized a no-fly zone, framed as protection for civilians. NATO warplanes entered Libyan skies. French jets, British jets, American drones. What was sold as a shield became a hammer against Gaddafi's forces. By August, Tripoli fell. The compound of Bab al-Azizia, once untouchable, burned in rebel hands. Gaddafi vanished into the country that had feared and followed him for 4 decades. To most people, it was a revolution. To Africa watching from the south, it was a warning. When oil, geopolitics, and foreign jets meet, a nation's fate can be rewritten overnight. Sirte, his hometown, his last fortress. For months, loyalists held the ruins while the National Transitional Council closed in. Water failed. Electricity died. Advisors begged him to flee the country. He refused. At dawn on October 20th, a convoy of roughly 75 vehicles tried to break out west of the city. A satellite phone call is said to have betrayed the movement. A NATO aircraft, including a United States drone strike, followed by French jets, hit the column. Dozens died in the sand. The convoy shattered. Gaddafi survived the missiles. He did not survive the ground. Fighters found him hiding in a drainage pipe. Video the world should never have needed to see showed a wounded man dragged into daylight, beaten, humiliated. He was shot. He was 69 years old. His body was later displayed in Misrata before a quiet burial in the desert. No public tomb, no pilgrimage site, no final speech. International voices called for investigation. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch demanded answers. The killing was condemned as an extrajudicial execution. History, however, moved faster than justice. The brotherly leader was gone. Libya's long night was only beginning. If this story is opening your eyes, like this video and share it with someone who was only taught one version of 2011. Africa's chapters deserve full light, not half a headline. What happens when you remove the center of a state without building a new one? Libya fractured. Militias that fought together turned on each other. Cities became fiefdoms. Rival governments rose, one in Tripoli, another tied to the east. Generals claimed power. Foreign powers returned through different doors. Weapons, money, bases, influence. Oil production swung like a broken pendulum. Young Libyans began to dream of leaving the land their parents once called the envy of the region. And then came a shame Africa should never forget. In the chaos after 2011, migrant routes through Libya turned brutal. Detention centers, trafficking networks. In 2017, CNN reported open-air slave auctions where black African lives were sold again, on the same continent that still carries the scar of the old trade. A nation that once absorbed African workers under a strong central state became a corridor of predation. This is the part the victory speeches skipped. Was Gaddafi innocent? No, his prisons were real. His enemies disappeared. His cult of personality left no room for a free press or a peaceful transfer of power. But a question remains, one the powerful prefer you never ask. If the goal was the freedom of the Libyan people, why did so many lose the safety, schools, and stability they already had, and gain a battlefield instead? Empires do not always conquer with flags. Sometimes they conquer with liberation, then leave a vacuum where only guns speak. So the next time someone says Gaddafi's death simply freed Libya, remember Sirte, remember the pipe, remember the oil that once built free hospitals. Remember the rival governments, the militias, and the markets of human misery that followed. Because sometimes the greatest chapters of history are the ones most people have never been taught. And sometimes the fall of one man is the unmaking of an entire nation. Libya's story is not only about a colonel in a desert, it is about what Africa risks when foreign jets write the ending, and Africans are left to live inside the ruins. If this story inspired you, like this video, subscribe to African Storyverse and click the notification bell, because Africa's greatest stories are only just beginning.